Hello and welcome to the Voice of TOD. I'm Tom, and this is a really quick little intro for what this video is going to be. So last night I was streaming some Dragon Age Origins over on Todd Plays Games. There'll be probably a pinned comment with the the link to the video if you want to check it all out. We are 13 streams in now. It's a big old game. I'd forgotten how big it was. But I had an idea of what you could do to do a remake of Dragon Age Origins to try and boost hype for Dreadwolf, which is coming out some point this year, next year, year after, some point soon. BioWare are working on it. And I've gone through, there's like maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes of me just talking about what I would do if I was going to completely redesign Dragon Age Origins as it functions. There's things missing like combat I haven't got an answer for, things like that. But I just found it really interesting, and I thought I'd share it over here. And it also helps to maybe pull a few people over to the other channel as well, which I am trying to grow. Yeah, check out this. Listen to the thoughts. If you've got any, let me know in the comments, because it is by no means complete, all-encompassing, or even structured in a lot of places. But I thought I'd share it. I found it interesting in talking about how you can maybe sort of tweak things and move things and remake games, certainly older games that are looking worse for wear, that deserve it. I don't want remakes because they can remake them. I want substantial remakes like they've been doing with the Resident Evil series that really give the game a new lease of life. Or there's a reason for doing it, like the Mass Effect Legendary Collection where they put all the games together. That kind of idea. So I'm looking at it more as a service for the fans to generate hype for fantastic games, not as a way of companies to cash in by being lazy. So I'm looking at it from a pure fan service angle. That's probably important to note. But yeah, so the next sort of 20-25 minutes will just be me talking about my thoughts. Share what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Where was that keeping the chainmail? I don't want to know. That does look quite grand. I know it looks dated, but it does look quite grand. Imagine if this was modern graphics and ray tracing and... Oh, God. This game could be absolutely stunning in Unreal 5. Like, really, genuinely stunning. All right, here we go. Let's pitch this. Okay, so we're gonna do Dragon Age Origins remake. We're gonna follow the story. We're gonna have the same classes, the same characters. We're not gonna change any of that. The gameplay, I don't know. We'll have to come back to the gameplay. But the character creation, so all the weapons would have individual looks. They wouldn't just be the same thing. Which they are. Like, so there's a lot of, this is like a brand new game. You'd redesign all the weapons, you'd redesign the things. The arcane warrior sword is just a single look. There's nothing else that looks like it in the game. King Marik's sword looks like nothing else in the game. The shields and stuff, you can actually see the heraldry and all that kind of things. The Darkspawn stuff is suitably ragged and rusted, whereas, you know, the long swords, the dwarven swords, the elven swords, which each have their own individual looks, they look more new, pristine, well looked after. Character customization, cyberpunk. Not with all the non-fantasy sci-fi stuff, but it's in-depth hair, beard, makeup, lips, piercings, tattoos. I mean, if you want to go genitals, fine. You don't need to. But it's very in-depth. There's loads of customization. You can have individual tattoos like sleeves, chest, back, legs, if you wanted. Not that you'd ever see them, but you'd know that they were there, especially for the elf clans and the dwarf clans who would have that kind of thing to differentiate them from... Oh. There's a guy down there. That's the exit. I want to go over there. We'll go this way first. You know, they and how they live and the tales that they tell in their tattoos. The clan markings, all that kind of stuff is built into the customization for those races. So the dwarven tattoos look different to the elven tattoos. The human tattoos are different, or they could be a hybrid of the two because they've stolen the sort of style. Well, I'm going far too deep. It'll never get greenlit. It'll never happen in general. But so you've got all of that. You can. You'd have male and female of each one. Would you, I mean, customize height and things? I would, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll do that as well. Let them come. Oh, you cheeky buggers. That one. Combat's a tough one. I don't know how I'd change combat, but I would change combat. Can we stun it? No, okay. How would I change combat? I mean, it's dead, so I'm not worried. Shale was kneecapped it. Greater health poultice. I mean, like skill trees and things I would redesign as well. Because there's a lot of wasted, if I'm being brutally honest. There's a lot of duplication, or there's a lot of things that should really be the same skill that aren't. I'd also bring in a way of leveling up swords. But that's just a personal me thing. That's rubbish. Yeah, how would I change the inventory thing? Everything would stack to 99. I think it does anyway. But everything would stack to 99. Maybe make it bigger. Maybe it starts off at 120. And you have your bags to upgrade it to 180. Or you start off at 90. No. Yeah, you start off at 90. And you... Oh. That's the exit. And then each bag that you can buy is a 20 upgrade or a 15 upgrade instead of a 10. Because just more inventory space is needed. We'd need to completely redesign on a controller on console how the skills operate. So there's two options. Option one is we don't. And it stays as it is, but that's just a bit clunky, but it does pause combat. And everything is on there, like all of my activated skills are there. I should really be utilizing this more. Combat's tough. It's tough to know what system to change it to. I'm trying to think what the Witcher system was, but I think the Witcher system is still quite complicated. Hello, beastie. Leveling up is fine. I'd maybe... There's going to be more. You know there's going to be more, right?
Now is better than later.
Liliana, you broke. What does the D-pad do? So the D-pad doesn't really do anything that I can...
Can I get you a ladder? so you can
that I can tell. So maybe what I would do is I would bind non-offensive skills. So healing would be up on the D-pad. Stealing would be left on the D-pad. Shouldn't really be a talent. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Stealing should just be like thievery, and you get stealing and lockpicking in the same skill to save skill points. This is down on the D-pad would be switch weapons. So you don't need to go into a menu like hold position and all that crap. Leave it in a radio menu, but have it. And I wouldn't have this. So we've got poisons, we've got potions. So what I'd do, I'd still have a radial menu. So your radial menu would be inventory, and you can use item because the inventory's clunky as well. So we would up on the D-pad is heal, and it is just heal whatever, and then you'd have to code it so that if you're more than 75% health, you use a small pack. If you're more than 50% health, you use a medium pack. If you're more than, and see if you can code it that way. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know anything about making games, but that's what I would do. I would have this crafting thing, right? So you go into your menu, which is left trigger, which we'd keep, and that pauses combat. And then you'd have crafting. And then there you'd have herbalism, you'd have poisons, you'd have traps, but it wouldn't just be this individual person. It is whoever's in your party, whatever skills they have, everything is in there. And I wouldn't have it so that you actually change between the characters and control of the characters. I would have it the Mass Effect way of these characters are with you, they help you, you can set them up like you have here, because they've got so many skills and things. You set them up like you have here with tactic slots, but every time they hit, an even level or an odd level or level 5, no, that's too far in. So at every even level, they get another tactic slot. So they start with 2, and then you get more, and you can use as many as you want, and you just build them with the aggressive and the passive and the the range, the healer, whatever you want. You build them, and it can be as complex or as simple as you want. And I'd maybe keep that system. I'd just give it a bit of a shine, a bit of a polish up. Your crafting is everyone that's in the party, but when you're in the camp, your crafting is everyone, and it uses the person with the best skill for that. If, say, you don't take Win on Adventures, but she is maxed out with the potion making, in camp it will always use her to make the potions, and you've got full access to all of it. And it'll say, super big, massive potion, expert potion making - win. So it tells you which character is which so that you know. But crafting is all on its own menu. And then you'd have... I'd get rid of quick heal, because that would be up on the D-pad. You'd have whatever you can feed it, and you customize the controls completely if you wanted. You'd have potions and poisons and all that stuff. Now, you know what? Up on the D-pad is heal, or hold up on the D-pad, and it brings up a radio menu with all of your potions that you've created. Right on the D-pad is poisons, so you press it just to apply whichever poison you've got most of. Or you hold it down, it brings up the radio menu, and you select the poison that you want. But there's no option to craft in there. Crafting is separate. Down would be change weapon, so they give all of your characters this option to have a ranged and a melee, or 2 melee, or whatever. But down on the D-pad puts your, because you'd only be playing your character, it puts you in the stance. So you would have a bow or a crossbow, or you could go from the mage staff to the arcane warrior if you'd spec'd into it, or that kind of thing. Potions left, poisons right. Traps had... poisons and traps together, because they're both a negative thing against the enemy, whereas potions is a buff to you, basically. Inventory-wise... So bumpers change characters, right? So actually what I'd do... That wouldn't work. Alright, what we do... Instead, because you're not changing characters, you play as your player. The bumpers, you hold down. As I say, you hold down and then you select which of the 3 companions that you want to do whatever spell or thing or whatever, and you would have... So you'd be holding the button down. You could have 4 that you assign, and you would have like that screen, but I mean you can't really see it. But you're like north, east, south, west. So north would be... let's use who we've got. So north would be Ogren, and when you hover over him, another little side menu pops out, and it gives you his 4 skills, and the corresponding thing to press on the D-pad, so that he will do that skill next if it's on cooldown, or if it's not on cooldown, if it can be used. And then east you'd have Shale. Again, same thing. While you're hovering over Shale... It will be a bit clumsy because you're using the left stick and the D-pad. Maybe when you're in the radial menu, the left... No, because the camera's always going to be on right. But you see what I'm getting at? Like, there's an idea there that would need finessing. Absolutely. I'm not a game designer. I'm not a UI designer. I've never thought in any serious note of doing that, and I've never really thought in any serious note until this stream of what a remake of Dragon Age Origins would look like. It's just, it was going through my mind while we're playing. But that's what I'd do, and I'd have everything kind of easy access, but you wouldn't be jumping between players. That would free up buttons. You could have right bumper. So you'd bring up your radial menu. You wouldn't even need to bring up the radial menu. What you'd do is you'd hold right bumper, which is just change character again. But you'd hold that up and it would bring up that radial menu with the cross, but none of the icons on it. It would just be that crosshair. And you would then move the camera to a enemy, and your party would focus fire on that enemy, and then automatically choose the next one due to whatever tactics you've given them, or you just, right, that one's dead, I've killed mine, I'm going over here, send them over there, or focus on mine because this is a big dude. And that's how you'd bring in the character organization and the focused fire or sending them off, as well as the tactics. You would be able to order them. You are a Grey Warden, not at this point, but you're a Grey Warden commander. You're in charge, you're leading this party. So instead of taking control of the party and your character just goes off and does whatever you've programmed him to do, you actually issue them orders. That's what I would do. And if you really wanted to go in depth with it, it could be, you know, you hover over the enemy and you press a certain button and Shale will go after that, or Oggurinn will go after that, or Liliana will focus. So you could say, you know, radio menu, if Liliana is A, for example, on the Xbox pad, you'd focus it on, you press A, Liliana's going to focus fire on those enemies. But in the tactics menu, you go into this for Liliana and you would say, you know, always, so target, preference, ranged, or magical, or whatever. And you could set your party up so you would have, for instance, Shale will always go for a caster first and just charge through, focus on that caster, then move to the next caster. If there isn't a caster, it'll just revert to whatever the closest enemy is. Oggurinn could be your melee guy, so if there is melee guys, he will just run in and do a big AoE and focus down on those. Liliana can be ranged guys, so if there's archers, she's always going to fire on archers while there's an archer alive. And that is an option. It might even be an option in here. Target enemy. Target at range, so shot along. So there is elements of it in here. Using attack type, target using range type, so you can already in this, you can just do that. Cool. I'm not going to because, I'm not. I don't feel the need. I'm happy with how things are gameplay wise. I find the combat boring. But I'm happy with how it is. For what it is. But you could set all that up. And that would be in the tactics, so you're not actually controlling. That frees up 2 more buttons. You've also got the sticks that could be something. That's 4 buttons that we've got free. You could redesign the whole thing quite nicely. I would. So when you press, it's the weird, stupid squares on this. It will always take you to the map, regardless on what screen you've been on. So say you've been doing something in the inventory, you come out of it, you press that button, and it will always take you to map. I think it does it, but it doesn't always do it. And then if you want inventory, you bring up the radial, you go inventory. And instead of having to press a button to select it, it's highlighted, or press a button and select it. They're just ideas. There's a lot. I'm gonna have to watch this back and see what I thought, and maybe even clip it out. But I think it's quite spread over. But there's a lot that you could do with this game and remaster it and graphical polish, Unreal 4, Unreal 5, whichever. Ideally, I'd want to see it on Unreal 5, but then you're learning Unreal 5 if they don't already have Unreal 5. BioWare are EA. EA have the Frostbite. Is it Frostbite or Snowdrop? One of the two. They have an in-house engine that doesn't seem to work for anything other than the Division. I don't know why. But that's why Anthem didn't fully work, I think. And that's certainly why Mass Effect Andromeda was a bit janky. So I would just have it Unreal 4. They're probably more easy to throw something together with Unreal 4. And that's how I would just completely do it. I would say, right, pause, keep a team optimizing and working on Dragon Age Dreadwolf. A year before Dreadwolf comes out, Dragon Age Origins remastered, completely rebuilt from the ground up, all these new features, all these different ways of doing it, and theoretically you've changed the tactics and the combat system and the companion controls and all that stuff to how I've suggested hypothetically, and that is how the controls are in Dreadwolf. So you go, oh great, I've played Dragon Age Origins and all the DLC and all of it has come together in this £50-60 bundle of all these hours of gameplay, and I've met Liliana, I've met Shale, Oggurinn, I can't remember who's in what games. I know Liliana's in all of them, I think. I think if she's still alive, she's probably in Dreadwolf because she's a fan favourite. I've met Morrigan, who is a big player. certainly in the lore surrounding Dragon Age 1 and 2. There's things that happen with Morrigan that are just crazy. Alistair is a big player, potentially, depending on what you do in this game. And it would be, here's Dragon Age Origins, we're not doing 2, we're not doing Inquisition. Inquisition's probably in a decent enough state, but here it is, completely redone, but the combat system is this is what we're using for Dreadwolf. So you would go, finish this, a year later, 6 months later, whatever, when Dreadwolf comes out, import your save from 1, 2 and Inquisition, or just this remake. All of your choices are there for where they fit, and you already know the control system. It'll already feel familiar. That's how I would do it. They won't. It won't happen. It's a pipe dream. It's not even a pipe dream because I can live without it. But it would just be really cool to give this game, which is, the more I play it, the more I'm getting into it, it deserves some love and recognition. The story is great. The characters are fantastic. I mean, they're not Mass Effect characters. It's not Garrus. It's not Rex. It's not Liara. It's not... Like, there's ones I'm not going to say. Mordin. We've met Mordin. But there's other ones that I'm not going to say. They're not that tier. But Morrigan is phenomenal. Morrigan, maybe. Liliana is interesting. Shale's great. Alistair's a bit wet, but you know, and there's so much that you could do. The question is there a desire for it? Is there really a desire for... Like, I would argue there isn't a desire for Dragon Age Dreadwolf. I don't know why.
Finally, we get to the good part.
Like, I don't know why they've spent so much time on Dreadwolf. I don't know why they're forcing the franchise. I suppose Inquisition won Game of the Year, I think. Origins may have won Game of the Year.
I'll get on it.
2009 it maybe didn't. I don't know what did, but I don't know what else came back. Ahead the bag. We're going to put together a demon, aren't we? That's what's happening here. Alright, here. So we did something and it didn't. Whereas I just wanted a map. So that button will always take you to the map and then you can divert off to whatever. I would have it so that when you collect an inventory, it pops up in the bottom of the corner saying what the item is. Instead of items received. Or when you're given an inventory. Like that, you don't need to because you can see what it is. But when you're given an inventory as a reward or from an enemy or something... I'd just make that a bit cleaner. Character stuff. You could leave it as the same. I mean, it does take up a lot of space. You could clean it up. You could make the portrait slightly smaller. You could maybe have, instead of them being, you know, semicircles around the portrait, which works, but you could just have them as bars, and it is a small portrait, and you can make it as big or as small as you want with the 2 bars, and then you'd have you, and it would just neaten up that corner a little bit. The map's fine. Leave the map where it is. This does take us back round here, right? Okay. And then all of this, you'd tidy up somehow. I'd also maybe have the active, what are they called? Sustained skills? Like the little sword with the Roman style leaves around it, olive leaves around it. I'd have that up by the character's name bar. Just to tidy things up a little. That's what I would do. And it might be that that's what they did with Dragon Age 2 or Origins, or that's what they've done with Dreadwolf. I couldn't tell you. I can't remember them much.